Age of Imprisonment was my most anticipated game of the year, and it absolutely delivered. As the release approached, I kept thinking about the immense lore potential it was carrying, while also acknowledging that a spin-off shouldn't be expected to answer everything. I knew it wouldn't tie up every loose end that Tears of the Kingdom left open, but what it did bring to the franchise was impressive. Major lore reveals, new characters, and a surprising commitment to the canon. In so many ways, Age of Imprisoment's story was exactly what I was hoping for. It answered questions I've had for years, dodged a few I thought it would tackle, and created a handful of brand new mysteries. So in this video, I want to dive into the unknowns this game addressed, the ones it left unanswered, and the ones that landed somewhere in between. The first was the question on a lot of people's minds leading up to the game. Is it actually canon? This question was definitively answered with a yes. Our girl Linalia did a lot of the heavy lifting on this one, as the scribe who documented the Imprisoning War, but erased any details that wouldn't have matched up with the story shown in the future. Because while the game introduced two new characters, the Construct and Calamo, in the interest of preventing the Construct's technology from being used for evil ever again, she removed their presence from the story. Is it a little cheesy? Sure, but it's clean, simple, and honestly pretty effective. No weird time travel detours, no timeline-breaking plot twists, just a few extra story beats that don't alter the events of Tears of the Kingdom. Another question they answered was the identities of the bosses. And I'll admit, my theory on this one did not pan out. In the lead up to the game, I was speculating that because of their humanoid nature, the Archfiends were humans that Ganondorf had transformed into monsters, and that specifically Twinrova became the Gerudo Queen. In the game, it appears that the Fiends are actually just new beings created from Ganondorf's dark magic. We see that his Princess Zelda puppets are created from monster parts, and so the Archfiends are likely a similar process, just enhanced by his leveled up Secret Stone powers. It was weird how they each seem to have their own individual personalities, like the Grim Turok is a flamboyant disco diva for some reason, and the Grim Gera is vain and focused on his own strength. It still seems like there's a lot that we're missing about these characters, but I think we know enough to say that this question is basically answered. Another question that was pretty much covered was the fate of the Zonai. Now, I do want to explore this a bit more deeply in a future video, but for now, I think it's safe to say we now know for certain that they were brought down by their own technology. It's revealed that the Knight constructs are massively powerful weapons they created, and that they have the power to fight for good or evil. This theme of corrupted technology has been explored many times in the Wilds era. First through the Guardians, then the seized construct in Tears of the Kingdom, as well as Ganondorf's corruption of the Secret Stone, the idea that technology is influenced by the spirit of the user has certainly been reinforced. So, the Zonai now fit the archetype of the ultra-advanced civilization undone from within. There are still some unanswered details about the specific events leading to this downfall, and I'll get into those in my next video, but this was a huge step forward in our understanding of their history. One other mystery that was widely discussed in the lead up to the game was Calamo's true identity. In the promotional materials, Calamo's character description said he was roaming Hyrule in search of a place to put down roots. That phrasing led many to theorize that Calamo would turn out to be the Great Deku Tree. Personally, I didn't love that idea, and I was a little skeptical of it initially. But as I played through the game and the phrase "put down roots" was hit on over and over, I started to buy into the idea that he would turn out to be the great father of the forest after all. However, in the end, it turned out he was not the Great Deku Tree, but another tree of significance. One that would come to be known as the Ancient Tree Stump. I really liked this twist, as it certainly wasn't one I saw coming, and it also gave new meaning to an otherwise unassuming location. The really neat thing was how they tied the reveal into Zelda notes, which, prior to the game's release, gave us the intel that an ancient spear had been discovered within the tree trunk. I just think the planning there was admirable, because even though we didn't know to look for it, the hint was there hiding in plain sight. As fans of the channel may know, my pet theory that I've held onto for a while now was that of the hidden Gerudo Civil War. There were a lot of interesting political dynamics going on with the Gerudo in this game, which I also want to explore more deeply in the future, but we didn't get a definitive answer on how the internal conflicts played out with the Gerudo people. We did get confirmation that there were multiple factions of the Gerudo, that Ganondorf betrayed Artie and her followers, and that after that she led a resistance against him, but we don't know for sure how extensive that resistance was, and if there were Gerudo other than Kotake and Kuume who still decided to join his monster army. Speaking of Kotake and Kuume, they were one big question mark that didn't quite get resolved. At least yet. While I liked getting to see more of them in the story, and getting to see them operating as witches again as they manipulated the shades, I was disappointed that they disappeared partway through the story. I was really hoping they'd be like a mid-game boss and that we'd get to see them take on the form of Twinrova. And after completing the game, I think that really could have worked better than fighting a bunch of phantom Ganondorfs, which felt a bit repetitive to me. But I had a feeling it was over for them as soon as they were referred to as Ganon's guards on screen, rather than by name. We do know that there are updates still to come for Age of Imprisonment, and these guys feel like the perfect opportunity for a DLC story. So I'm not giving up hope yet, but just based on the original game, I'm going to put this as an unsolved question. Another piece of the game that I was hoping for and didn't really deliver on was the ability to explore the Hyrule of the Zonai era. In Age of Calamity, I felt like we had more opportunities to explore the old settlements of Castletown and the Akala Citadel, but in Age of Imprisonment, that exploration felt much more limited. I'd gone into the game hoping to learn more about the lore through the architecture, but that kind of environmental storytelling felt pretty limited to the intro. And I understand why we couldn't do the final battle at the Zonai Hyrule Castle, but I would have loved to explore those interiors outside of the cutscenes. And the other civilizations didn't seem to have much in the way of settlements, but perhaps that was intentional to indicate the more primitive setting? Like, Ganondorf doesn't seem to have any kind of throne room as the Gerudo leader, just a couple of rocks that I guess he has his servants carry around for him, which in retrospect is pretty funny. But sadly, we didn't get to see Gorondia. It's implied that the Gorons of this era live on Death Mountain just like the modern Gorons. And we didn't get to see where the Rito or the Zora live, just battlefields in their respective regions. And again, that makes sense, but it was something I was hoping would add an extra layer of interest to the battle environments. Despite the game letting me down on a few fronts, the work they did in areas I wasn't expecting more than made up for it in my eyes. For instance, I was surprised by how much I loved the cast of characters they introduced. The sages each had interesting character developments in addition to killer designs, and the other side characters added interesting texture to the story as well. Overall, I really enjoyed the story of the game. Even though we knew a lot of the tentpole plot points, they managed to incorporate a lot of surprises that kept it interesting. In particular, Zelda's relationships with the people of the past were beautiful to see. After everything she's endured, watching her be embraced by a found family who supported her passions added so much depth and enriched her storyline from Tears of the Kingdom and just made her sacrifice hit even harder. And on top of all that, Age of Imprisonment was just a genuinely fun game to play. I'm not typically a Warriors-style fan, but I really enjoyed exploiting the enemy's weaknesses and found the overall gameplay very satisfying. And it felt really accessible. I'm not always the best at combat, but for the most part, I found it was a pretty easy difficulty. At one point, I even went into my settings to check that I didn't set it to easy, and I hadn't. Really, the only battle that tripped me up was the Forbidden Construct, who consistently took me multiple times to kill. I literally only survived the final battle with him by half a heart, and in the context of the story, that felt like it made a lot of sense. So overall, I loved this game. It felt like the ending that the Wilds era deserved, and filled in almost all the holes that were left open after Tears of the Kingdom. And the new lore mysteries that it opened up have given me a lot of theory material. I've already started outlining my next few Age of Imprisonment deep dives, so if you're interested in more lore breakdowns, feel free to join me for the next one. There's plenty more to cover from this game, and I'm just excited to have new Zelda lore to talk about. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.